Hello and welcome to this edition of ADDIS Dialogue. I'm Yodita Admasu. In this edition, we are going to talk about the hotel rating business. We are going to talk about why was this necessary, why at this time, who was involved in the evaluation. So to talk about these points and much more, I'm joined by panelists from Ministry of Culture and Tourism, Ato Tedros Derrabo, from Addis Ababa Hotel Owners Association, Ato Zenawi Mesfin, and hospitality expert, a consultant, Ato Fantu Golla. Thank you all for coming. And shall I start with Ato Fantu? Can you tell us about the international experience? What is involved when you are talking about hotel rating? Why is it necessary? Is it applicable internationally? How do they view this?
If hotels are rated, this is really very important for the customer while sitting in London, DC or Dublin or South Africa or anywhere, so that you can easily read, you can easily know about the room where we are going to stay. That's very important. And the other reason why it's also very important is also to the owner himself. The owner can, can see where he is, what type of accommodation he has, and we could talk a lot about the advantage and why really we use hotel ratings in the world.
Yeah, so it puts Ethiopia on the market, no?
Yeah.
To promote the hotels.
It promotes the country, and so people know what type of service they are getting while they come to Ethiopia. It could be in ADDIS or in Redawa, in Hawassa, anywhere in the world. So it's really very good to the country, and we can attract many guests just having this rating system in our country.
Why did the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Tourism decide to have this rating at this time? What was the reason behind for the urgency to put?
Okay, it's known that the hotel grading in Ethiopia has been a long-awaited initiative. And it should have been, hotel grading should have been conducted earlier than this, but it's always better to act late than never. So the ministry has been striving to classify hotels. The efforts had been made earlier to set up a robust standardization system and implement that system, but for a variety of reasons, it was not realized. This is a time, it's an opportune moment when the government has put high priority on the tourism sector. The supreme case in point is the establishment of the Ethiopian Tourism Transformation Council, which is chaired by the Prime Minister, and also that's the establishment of the Ethiopian Tourism Organization too. So at this juncture, it is fundamental for us to classify hotels and implement this standardization, the hotel grading system. As it's known, it's beyond doubt that one of the constraints for tourism development in Ethiopia is low level of service delivery.
Yeah, so when we talk about the tourism sector, it's important to focus on the hotels as well. So let's hear from the Hotels Association, and you're also engaged in the evaluation process as well. How did it go? What were the main criteria? What were the points that you focused on in this regard? Who were involved?
I do remember that there is a lot of opposite opinions, a lot of clashes, because this hotel classification is a long process. Because if you go back to the historically, we have a lot of course, dialogues, and also in order to help the process, I think the Hotel Association also participated. I was one of the technical committee to deal with this, especially from the beginning to the ending. Now, there is a basic criteria, and there is also specific criteria. The basic criteria was, of course, four of them. Before we do the assessment, of course, we have to engage also the entry requirement, like the safety and security, and also the health, sanitation, and also the COC. These all things should be done as entry requirement. Then after that, as I said to you before, we have a 4 basic criteria and also specific criteria 8. So when we do this, at that time, it had been long dialogues that according to the point allocation.
From what I understand, the manual is really thorough. You know, it has given attention to every detail, even to the extent of looking at the structure of the hotel. Is it constructed properly or not? You know, the COC of the employees. All this is considered. But when you started the evaluation, did you forewarn the hotels, you know, giving them enough time to prepare themselves? Because if it is a sudden thing, then...
No, it was given it was a time frame was given to the hotel owners, but that's not the problem. The problem was that when the assessors they spend time to assess the hotel. They have only half day for one big hotel. So if one hotel is assessed by half day, it doesn't give the reality image of the hotel. Let's say that, for example, one hotel should be evaluated all the service. Mr. Fantu say that not only the product should be assessed, the service should be assessed, then the facility should be assessed. So in order to get, you have to buy more time. In order, for example, like a ministry, and also the assessors announced that they're coming to the hotel this time. Now the hotel owners, they start like a wedding shower to impress everything they did. At this time, did you get exactly the right information?
I think it has to be a continuous assessment,
yes,
right?
It should be a continuous and time spent. The assessors should be like mystery shoppers, And they have to spend more time, like for example, 3 days, 4 days. Like when we had a World Luxury Award in Intercontinental Hotel, what we did is the assessors, they spent all these inspectors, they spent almost 5 days in order exactly to get the right picture. But that was the problem. It was just a very half day. Even some hotels also just 2-3 hours.
Let's have an expert's point of view on this one. If you have looked at the evaluation criteria that they have put out, and when you compare it to the international and how these guys did it, how do you assess the situation?
First of all, let me tell you that there is no uniform hotel rating system in the world up to now. But all hotels in the world, all hotel rating systems in the world, they have common things, common rating criteria. So you cannot really say that whatever you use, a hotel rating system in London shouldn't be applied also in Ethiopia. You have to see the objective reality of that country. There are some elements to take into consideration, even though the basic things are the same, but you have to consider.
What are the basic things that you are talking about?
The basic thing is, first is, of course, the hotel exterior parts. And the second thing is the type of service you provide in the hotel. What type of rooms do you have? Is it spacious? How about the toilet room? What type of sanitary fixtures do you have? What type of fixtures you use in that hotel? Even the type of hotel's furniture and fixture matters, because all tables are not the same. Some are durable, some not. So the machineries and equipment used in the kitchen, these are the hardwares actually. But the most important thing is also the software. The software is really very, very important. When you talk about the software, it's the management itself. What type of hospitality system are we using in that hotel? You could have a very beautiful hotel, exterior, interior. You could have all furniture, fixtures, machineries, crockeries, glasswares, and so on. But if you don't have the right management, then you're off. Safety and security is really, really very, very, very important. And of course, these days also, some additional elements are coming to consider. Environment. Environment is really very important. It's becoming as one of the important tools to evaluate a hotel. So we can talk, and of course, I'm not forgetting the main services of the hotel, the food and beverage part, the restaurants, the kitchen. And you have to know about your menu, your a la cartes. What type of menu and a la cartes you have in the hotel? Are they really suitable to the customer?
They have to be up to international standard.
You have to have this international standard. There are different type of international cuisines. You have to consider them that.
I understand that when you guys were rating Addis Ababa hotels, there were not that much qualified hotels to begin with. Why was it? How many were eligible for evaluation and how many were given the stars? What about the remaining ones? Are they going to improve their services or upgrade their services and be evaluated at a later time, or are they going to continue like that?
Okay. Originally, it was planned that 200, generally in the country, 400 hotels were supposed to be graded, and of which 200 are planned to be graded in Addis Ababa. But we are only able to find only 136 hotels in Addis Ababa which are eligible for grading. So 136 hotels were graded, and about 70 of them have fulfilled the mandatory requirements, or what we call essentials, entry requirements, such as fire and safety, health and hygiene, and COC. So there are hotels still which haven't fulfilled these mandatory requirements, so they are given time, adequate time to just set things on the right track. The project was initially envisaged based on the assumption that the national and regional assessors will be trained and take over. So the project had two components, two basic components. One was to implement the grading system through which these hotels were classified, and the second component was to provide training for the ministry staff as well as for the regional assessors. So these people are responsible from now onwards to classify hotels and also supervise at the same time to make sure that these hotels are operating or giving services in accordance with the grades they were given.
In what time interval would they be evaluating them? Do you have a time frame for this?
Actually, this inspection or supervision has two elements. One is there are two mechanisms. One is just to notify a certain hotel that we are going on a specified date. The hotel is notified, and physically in the presence of the assessors, the hotel will be inspected as per the standards set. And the second one is kind of mystery shopping that Mr. Zenayi was raising. There is a necessity to set in place this feedback assessment mechanism. We have a hotel grading website specifically dedicated for these hotel grading activities.
Were there any grievances forwarded to the government? And no, this is not right. I'm supposed to be this grade, and now you give me this kind of things. Were they raised?
Let me put this way, because we are, of course, represent the hotel owners, and we are also getting some feedbacks and actually complaints also. But we are trying to handle this. It shouldn't be just simply given by the Minister of Tourism that this should be like that, but we have to also agree at the private sectors also. So the hotel owners are also expecting that we got some feedback, we got some grievances, but still we have to handle. We are handling this. Of course, this is a new process, the new system. We have to start anyway. So at this time, we have to consolidate, or we have to reconcile this between the complaint and the hotel owners, and between the Ministry of Tourism. So the Ministry of Tourism is very open to have a discussion, a free discussion, open discussion with us.
All this is for the tourism sector, to develop the tourists. Now Addis Ababa is considered as a tourist destination, not only for luxury, but also conference tourism as well. What do you think, Atufantu, this hotel rating would have, the implication of this in probably the increase of the number of tourists flowing into the country?
I think for me the implication is really very fast. Just to tell you frankly, I would like to appreciate the Ministry of Culture and Tourism to initiate this idea of introducing this hotel rating in the country. And this will have very positive impact in attracting conference business to the country, because any conference organizer, facilitator, the first thing they look is how many star hotels do they have? What type of star hotels do they have? 5-star, 4-star? Because the participants of that conference, or there are different types of customers. Some of them, they can afford to pay any amount. And for that matter, if the country has really this rating system, it would be easy for the organizers to decide where to make the conference in the country. So the more star-rated business or hotels we have in the country, the more conference business would be in the country.
This is also, that's Mr. Fantu say, that exactly is important for the country also, for the image of the country. So for example, now before, if you ask me before 20 years, we don't have even hotels. Now we have brand hotels, they're cropping up, and also there are also independent hotels, which is they give a good service. So at this time, it gives a big impact for the tourism industry.
Have you seen the difference? Have you observed? From what you said, it's not necessarily a bad thing to get lower grade or big grade. It's basically the type of service that you get with the money that you pay. Have you seen that kind of change, understanding-wise?
Yes, on this process, the owners, they try to change the paradigm. Most of the hotel owners, they don't understand what the training effect for the industry. So at this time, they start to understand, they start to realize that hotel grading is part of the facility, part of the product, part of the service.
With all this, we have seen the advantage of hotel grading and the initiative the government has taken to take care of this in collaboration with the World Tourism Organization. So what's going to happen in the future? What can we expect? Is there going to be a frequent assessment? Or what's your future plan in this regard?
As per our regulation, the hotel classification is to be conducted every 3 years. Reclassification will be conducted after 3 years. Of course, in between there are different activities of supervision, just to make sure that the hotel is, keeping the standards that it has been awarded. From this from experiences that has been obtained from this hotel classification, hotel grading process, we're about to craft standards for restaurants and other tourist facilities too. So the same will be done for other facilities, restaurants, lodges, and motels.
Do you have any suggestions to make to the Ministry of Tourism? If so, you're welcome.
I personally suggest that we need to do a lot in the capacity building of the assessors. I think most of our national assessors, few of them are here in ADDIS, but most of them are in the regions. And to my knowledge, if these people are still waiting in the regions, if they don't see other areas, that will be really impossible for them to rate the hotel. So my suggestion would be really to invest a lot on capacity building of the assessors, and these assessors need to go to a field visit. When I say field visit, it's not only in ADDIS, also if possible, if our capacity is, if we have the budget for it, it's better really to take them out of Ethiopia and see really international standard hotels, and to take even some meetings with international assessors also. So the most important thing, I think, for Ministry of Culture and Tourism would be just to continue working on the capacity building of the assessors and to make awareness also. Awareness is really very, very important. Advocacy work. Why hotel rating is really very important to the country, to the owners, not only to the country, to the government, to the ministry, but to the owners themselves. Anytime, by the way, the owners can upgrade anytime. I think the door is open, as far as I know, from the ministry side.
From this assessment, we have to learn a lot. We have to also make sure that when we do the assessment mechanism, we have to invest on human capital. Was the capacity building. What these assessors have educational background, not only that important. What about the exposure?
What would you like the hotel owners to know? Because it's going to be a continuous thing. They have shared their concerns in the terms of capacity and building and others. And what do you want them to know?
Yeah, we expect these hotel owners to properly understand the multifaceted benefits that can be reaped from this grading process. One of the constraints in the service delivery in Ethiopia is lack of skilled and trained manpower. So these hotel owners need to hire professionals and give on-the-job training regularly. And the other point is, of course, we believe that there are shortcomings in especially the skill gaps in the area of hotel grading. That's why we contracted with UNWTO and brought international consultants. But it doesn't mean that it's blameless. The process is blameless. There might have been shortcomings. So these shortcomings are to be tackled in collaboration with associations and other stakeholders which are engaged in the sector.
Yeah, so we can say that this is just the beginning and you have learned some lessons from this. So going forward, there are things that are going to be improved. Thank you very much, our panelists. That wraps up today's edition of ADDIS Dialogue. Thank you for joining us. I'm sure you have got some hint on how the hotel rating business was going on and what the government and the hotel owners are planning to do in the future. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yodita Admasu. Goodbye.